I really want to plead with Kenyans. Embrace privatization. Embrace privatization. If we go down memory lane, Safaricom is where it is because of privatization. We had a monopoly in the name of KPTC. It was a money guzzler, it was making losses. We opened up the economy. We privatized. We brought in competition in the name of Safaricom, Airtel, what have you. It is from that privatization, that move, that brave move that Kenyans made to embrace the private sector that made Safaricom the giant that it is. Today, Safaricom has become the largest private sector investor in Ethiopia, starting from running away from a monopoly. I want to tell you Kenyans, my fellow Kenyans, if it was the government making those decisions about investing in Ethiopia, we would never have.
Through our new UK-Kenya strategic partnership signed in July by His Excellency President Ruto and Prime Minister Starmer, we have committed to work together on science and technology in line with the SDG targets and financial inclusion goals. And not only that, we have committed to work together on better managing migration, an issue that is a high priority for both our governments. So this launch today of the Kenya Diaspora Investment Strategy and Diaspora Remittance Booklet happily brings together both those goals. And so on behalf of the British High Commission, I congratulate the PCS, PS, Government of Kenya and IOM on this launch of these impactful documents. Under the Better Regional Migration Management Programme, the UK has worked with partners across East Africa to help make labour migration safer and more productive. We thank Kenya as a key partner. Kenya, as evidenced today, has shown real leadership across the region, drafting policy and supporting skills development and protection measures for Kenyans who wish to migrate in search of work. The Diaspora Remittance Booklet contains tips to ensure.
What is good for the investment here, for the investor here, should be equal to what the diaspora is looking for. If the investment climate is wrong, even for the Kenyan investor who is domiciled here, then it is not right for the diasporan investor either. So I want us to look at this investment agenda holistically and globally. It has to be a package. We must create the right environment across the board. That is how we are going to attract investment. So the politicians must do what is right. The legal people must do what is right. The civil society must do what is right. Everybody must remember that we all have, the government must do what is right. We all must work together to be able to create the right environment to woo investment. Capital is shy. When we talk of 5 billion coming in, that is money coming in. We can also talk of capital flight. That is money going out and running away from a hostile investment climate. So it is both ways. I thought I should emphasize some of these things so that we can appreciate. The other is the tax. We have to balance this. as we talk of incentives, I would want to persuade you not to put too much emphasis on tax incentives. That is usually not a very reliable area to incentivize investment, because countries' physical requirements vary, they change, and therefore tax policies are prone to adjustment. We should look at investment more on a long-term basis in terms of other things that we could do. And by the way, I think it should be brought to the attention of everybody that the Constitution of Kenya on tax matters does not give any exemption to a Kenyan on tax at all. Please, whether you are here or you are in the diaspora, the Constitution of Kenya does not give you a tax exemption. We may be moving on a trajectory that is not exactly accurate. However, if we are going to create investment instruments, then you can build in some tax incentives somewhat in there, but it can never be a tax that goes to that individual as a benefit. And this is the Constitution of Kenya. This is what we approved. This is what we passed.
I'm happy also because this is one of the few conversations where we get to have migration positive stories. Often when people talk about migration, it is usually in very polarizing language. On the one hand, it is usually certain countries telling migrants, go back home, yes? So it is usually very negative stories of go back where you came from, you're not welcome here, or, usually very dark stories of people who have gone to other countries using unclear paths. On the other hand, migration as well, or diaspora stories, are usually often extractive stories of people talking about we are being asked to send money constantly at home. People only see us as remittances or see us as an ATM card, something that my clients in the diaspora speak to quite often. And the conversation is usually tuma na utume na ya kutoa. All right, so I'm happy to be having a conversation that's not about sort of these horrible dark stories, and that's not about tuma na ya kutoa. So thank you, Waziri, for making it. I know this is something that you really care about, diaspora investment, and you're the champion for the diaspora bond, the diaspora investment bond, and looking forward to hearing some of that conversation from you. But for us, having the diaspora investment strategy moves our conversation in terms of how we engage with our diaspora to a much more strategic conversation. It answers the question, what are diasporas for? Or what is the promise of a diaspora? What can a diaspora do for its country? So let me thank IOM, let me thank the FCDO, and Waziri, let me say, this conversation on the diaspora investment strategy actually began in a boardroom conversation at the FCDO, where a Kenyan diaspora had convened this conversation. We started to talk about structuring and systematizing diaspora investments. And we talked about what some other countries had done. And then we said we needed to put out the government of Kenya's statement of intent on how we are going to work with our diaspora in a structured way to really harness funds and to give them clear opportunities for investment. But to ask maybe the question differently, what are diasporas for? Or what can diasporas do? I often tell this story in our diaspora engagements these days, and which I think is much more fun than reading my notes. I tell this story. How many of us in the room know a friend or a family member who has a sick a relative or who's at some point had a relative in India going for treatment? I have been a teacher. I am actually asking to see hands. Okay, good. All right, so almost everybody knows somebody who has had to go to India for treatment. But did you know that the Indian healthcare system was built on the back of their diaspora? Their diaspora remittance, their diaspora investment, diaspora expertise, knowledge, know-how, networks. So that whole thing, that in many ways defines one of the big things that we know about India, is a creature of their diaspora.
Okay, so gentlemen and ladies of the Fourth Estate, today we have got a team from the Government Delivery Unit within the Executive Office of the President visiting various projects within Migori County. The objective, by and large, is to verify, inspect, and ascertain the implementation status of all national government projects within Migori County. The rationale of doing this, good people, is that more often than not, you find that the reports that we get from the line ministries and the implementing agencies by way of implementation status of various projects is not really the actual position on the ground. So we visit the projects physically to verify the status, determine if there are any challenges that need interventions at that upper level, with a view to having these projects completed within the stipulated timelines for the benefit of the wider stakeholder base. Accompanying the Government Delivery Unit of various stakeholders, of course, we are with the county government here, represented by the county secretary and other technical heads of departments. We have the Member of Parliament for Kuria East, Honorable Kitayama. We have got the Fund Account Manager for Kuria West, which is holding brief for Honorable Matthias Roby, who is in Kampala. We have got Mr. Sylvester Kasuku here, also from Office of the President, is an advisor there responsible for the functional domain of governance. We have got various representatives, officers from various implementing agencies, such as the Kenya Rural Roads Authority, KERA, the Ministry of Health, among others. So specifically, we have managed so far to tour several projects. We started off with the Ngege Nyaduong Road in Suna East constituency. This road was started in the year 2022, 21st of July. The project cost is 1.4 billion shillings. There were initial mobilization challenges in that road, which caused a bit of delays. But as we speak, the project completion level is 11%. And with those challenges now behind us, the contractor has assured us that they are going to up their game, and we will be touring that road again in February next year. And they have assured us that by February next year, we should be talking of 70%, minimum of 70% completion level. We have also toured the Mabera housing units, which falls within our affordable housing program of the Better Plan. You are aware that this is a key cog in that plan with a view to alleviating the affordable housing shortage on one hand, and also creating jobs for our youth and market for local produce, Juakali produce, on the other. This housing project entails 60 housing units being built at a cost of 182 million shillings. The project is complete, virtually complete. What is now taking off is the landscaping. We are also reaching out to the relevant government agencies and departments to ensure that all the services requisite of that housing facility are deployed within the shortest time possible, such as water, electricity, and other social amenities. But it's good to go, and in the not too distant future, I think early in the year, that project should be commissioned. We have also visited the Kegonga Level 4 Hospital in Kuria East, which is envisaged to contribute heavily to our better plan in line with the affordable house, universal health coverage program. This project is projected to cost 700 million shillings. Phase 1, which is projected to cost 290 million shillings, is at 35% completion level, and we envisage to see fundamental progress in that project. As we speak, we are at the Migori Stadium, a 10,000 capacity stadium projected to cost 736 million shillings. The start date was July 2025. The envisaged project completion date is July 2026, but we are here with the contractor. We have toured the facility. The contractor has assured us that all factors being held constant, it should be able to be done and dusted with this project by February 2026. So it's actually ahead of schedule. We want to urge also other contractors taking up government projects to try as much as possible to emulate what the contractor at this stadium has done, to try and be ahead of schedule. We should not be pushing contractors to meet the deadlines. They should actually strive to be ahead of the schedule. We are still visiting several other projects. We have in Uriri, one second. We have in Uriri, we are going to visit the Pinyoacho Level 3A Hospital, which is being built at a cost of 53 million shillings. And we are also going to visit Rongo. There is the Nyaburi Oboke Rangwe Roads, which connects both Migori and Homa Bay counties. Is at 35% completion level. The Pinyoacho Level 3A Hospital is at 98% completion level. We are just going to assess to see that it is ready for commissioning in the not too distant future. And on another round, there are several other projects we will be coming back to assess. We have the Masarasori Road in Nyatike being built at a total cost of 1.8 billion shillings. We are coming back to tour that. Then we have the Lower Kuja irrigation scheme, which is got two components. The first, project 1, costing 30 billion shillings, and then project 2, 28.2 million shillings. The other project we will be looking at is the Rusinga Ring Road. No, that's now in Homa Bay tomorrow. That's in Homa Bay tomorrow. We will also be assessing the implementation status of various fish landing sites. I think there's one at Behur, Muhur, and then the other one is at, there's another one at what? Got Kachola. Got Kachola. Yeah, it will be, those will be some of the projects in that round two that we will be doing. Maybe with that now, I want to, then there's also the KAIP, yeah? There's also the KAIP project within Migori town. Now, overall, let me state the following. Informed by our assessment of various government projects all over the country, there are lessons that we are learning which should inform what we are going to do moving into future. One is inadequacy of capacity, technical capacity on the side of most contractors. Yeah? We are witnessing a situation where most contractors are taking up more jobs than they can actually execute. They utilize different companies, the same person utilizing different companies, bidding for different jobs, and are cutting competition in the procurement process by way of price. But once they have been awarded those contracts, execution becomes a challenge. We want to urge contractors only to take up the number of jobs that they are able to implement at the same time. We are witnessing a situation where you have a contractor doing a hospital, the next day is running to an affordable housing project, the next day is running onto a road. I mean, you can't be a jack of all trades. You need to have a specialty. So you cannot spread yourself too thin and try to be all over the place. Then implementation becomes a challenge. Please, let contractors identify their thematic areas of core competency and stick to those lines so that we don't have challenges in implementation of next generational government projects. The other challenge we are witnessing is a situation arising from the same overtaking of projects I've talked about. You find that government has met its part of the bargain by settling outstanding dues of contractors based on certificates that have been raised. But you find that the contractor is still having a challenge of execution of the project. So what lesson are you learning from that? That either the contractor has got so many projects spread all over the place, or the money paid to the contractor is diverted, yeah, to other causes outside the project. So we want to caution contractors to ensure that they meet their part of the bargain once they have been paid by government and complete those projects within the stipulated timelines. As government delivery unit, we do not care the process you went through to get that project, and we don't really care whom you know. Yeah? Our concern is your technical capacity. Yeah? Not political capacity or which politician you know. That is none of our business. Yeah? So we are not going to succumb to a situation where certain contractors feel that they know some political class and that will influence implementation of the project. It's not going to happen. Yeah? It's not going to happen. The government has got no money of its own. We are utilizing public money. So once we have committed a contractor by way of getting into a contractual obligation, that contractual obligation must be met by both parties. The government will meet its part of the bargain. The contractor must implement the project to a logical conclusion. And if that does not happen, there are always ways and means of sorting out that within the provisions of the contract. But equally, politicians must keep out of implementation of government projects. Don't meddle in implementation of government projects. We are witnessing a situation where politicians are interfering with implementation of projects, where a contractor is behind schedule. The politicians think they can come in and start negotiating implementation timelines with certain implementing agencies. It's not going to happen in equal measure. We are urging all government implementing agencies not to act at the whims of politicians. All projects must be completed within the stipulated timelines, irrespective of who the contractor is. And if there is any undue political influence at any level within any sector of government or implementing agencies, please, that is why this unit exists within the Executive Office of the President. We will give you the necessary protection as is required based on instructions we have received from the President. The President has given us clear instructions that we should not allow any political meddling or influence in the implementation of government projects, irrespective of who the contractor is.
Was it in the first project we visited?